All right, here we are on Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. I am Jason, and trying to figure it out, which there wasn't really very much to figure out today. There wasn't really very much economic news that came out, and there wasn't really very much movement across most of the assets. Other than, the stock market, we came in the morning and it was trying to really get hurt. And it did what it usually does, which was come right back. The S&Ps were actually looking pretty good towards the end of the day. And then I guess we got this Texas Instruments thing, and that kind of sold it off. But of course, the Russell did underperform everything again, and in particularly Nasdaq. And I talked a little bit yesterday about the COT and how that's set up. And if you're just doing it pure, you'd be short Russell, long Nasdaq. And that worked. That worked yesterday. That worked today. So it's nice to see the COT sort of working. As for everything else, bonds were down a little bit. It was interesting to hear Tudor speak about the bond market today. If you haven't seen that, I would suggest checking it out. He's on YouTube, the interview. He did an interview, I believe, with CNBC, where he talks about the bond market. And you have to remember, Tudor is a great trader, and he's a billionaire from being a trader. But, in 1989, as one of our members loves to point out, he was interviewed for the original Market Wizards book. Maybe it was 1991. I don't know. And he pointed out in 1991 how the deficit and, the debt and all that was horrible. And, it was going to stagnate growth going forward. And what happened? If you were bearish, then you missed out on a hell of a lot of money. And he wouldn't have done that because he's a trader. He'll give his opinions. But as a trader, he is not going to be married to those opinions. But having said that, what he says, I look at it like this. He's super bearish the long end of the curve. Druckenmiller is super bearish the long end of the curve. And yet we have, Dan Nathan, long TLT. That's really risk reward right there, if you ask me. On top of the things that sort of I've been talking about for the last 2 months about the rate cuts and the long end and the short end and that whole relationship. But I think it's really as simple as that, right? Which side do you want to be on over time? Doesn't necessarily mean anything for this one particular trade, but over time, which side do you want to be on? Here's Tudor, here's Druckenmiller on one side. Here's Dan Nathan on the other side. Pick a side, man, over time. Yeah, it's pretty simple, quite frankly. And if you want to justify why you're doing it, well, then go back to my old videos. There's tons of justifications why you can do that. Other than that, the dollar was pretty quiet. It was a little bit unfortunate that the Aussie was really the strongest one today, as opposed to being the weakest one yesterday, but it really didn't get anywhere. And energy, of course, went on a tear today, for reasons that I had addressed yesterday, which in short was all the suckers were forced out of a long position and there's no longs left. And so there's a good chance that it goes up here, getting the suckers out of long and energy is almost enough to start, another escalation in the war in the Middle East. That's how strong I believe in this stuff. But, that was really it for today. Nothing very exciting. We're gearing up for the election, obviously. Starting to get a lot of feeling that people are believing that Trump is going to win and are therefore getting their portfolios in a position that are supposed to benefit from a Trump win. I don't know how anybody knows what's going to benefit from a Trump win, but I guess they go with the theory. And it seems like if that continues, but if and when he wins, that's going to be discounted and it's going to get super interesting from there. But let's see how that goes. Let's get there and let's deal with that at the time. Okay, we're still 2 weeks away, I think, to the big event. All right, so that's really it for today. I hope everyone did okay, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.